So I will be covering from Spring, Spring Boot, and then React.js. So there are mainly three things I am covering. So in Spring, like we will start from we are use Spring, why Spring, like, and then we will go with the IOC, inversion of control, then Spring dependency injection, then we will go Spring security, then we will see what is in Spring AOP, then we will go through Spring REST, and then after learning all these things, we will go to Spring Boot, and then like parallelly or maybe at the end I will manage, we will go with the React, and then at the end of this we will build a small, you can say, kind of a mini project based upon all our learnings. So daily we will go through the basic concepts along with the practical, like we will create the projects also, whatever we are learning. So today I will be taking care of like why we use Spring and the basics of Spring framework basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So just 1 minute. Yeah. So before Spring, does anyone knows about EJBs, Entity Java Beans? Do you have any idea about EJBs?
Yeah, just
No,
like if we have to inject some dependency, suppose a class is dependent on the another class, and at the runtime we want to inject the dependency of that particular class into that class, then we can use EJB for that.
Yeah. For dependency injection, or for there are many, that is one part of EJBs. So
Yes.
prior to Spring, like everybody is Java EE framework basically. So all the web applications will be building in that Java EE before this Spring. So what happens to the like Java EE? Why like it J2EE, or you can say Java EE does not work, that Spring will become so popular? So the main reason is because the EJBs, or you can say Java EE version 1 and 2 are very complex. Why they are very complex? For making a small thing, like just I want to make a small dependency injection, I need to write too many deployment descriptors. Now what is deployment descriptors? They are nothing but the XML files. Like I hope you have seen web.xml kind of files.
Yes.
sorry.
Basically those are the configuration files which are in which we will write some kind of configuration steps. So in EJBs or in Java EE version 1 and version 2, we have to write lots of configuration files. So that's why the Java EE become less popular. And the another reason is the multiple interfaces. For a small thing, we have to create too many interfaces. And due to this, its performance become too worse at that time of the Spring, before the arrival of Spring. And the third is the poor performance entity beans. So entity beans are nothing but they are the classes which defines the mapping between our Java classes and our databases. Mostly they are used in ORM tools like Hibernate, where we define the entity beans. Like you have seen, I hope you people have seen the files like where we have mentioned @entity or those kind of annotations. So basically a mapping file between Java classes and your database tables. So those are the entity beans. So in the Java EE, those entity beans are performing very poor due to its performance issues. So these are the main reasons why Spring become popular. So I can say at the end, EJB is the bad cousin of the family, which messes everything, which has reduced the performance at that time. And that's why Spring becomes so popular. So what is Spring? So it's a popular framework for building Java application, and it is developed by first Rod Johnson. So, so as I have said previously, there are lots of issues that we have seen in the previous slide to J2EE. So it is a lightweight alternative to J2EE. And the third is it provides us larger number of helper classes, which makes it easier. So that I will cover during our, you can say, experiment classes. So which are the helper classes are available and how the things are making easier in this Spring framework. And the third is it is a MVC framework. So basically, what is a MVC framework? So MVC stands for normally model, view, and controller. So model and view and controller. So what is a model? Model is nothing but data container. You can say a normal Pojo class as a model, which will get the data from the database. And then and then it contains the data. So that is nothing but model. And what is view? View is the normal, it can be HTML, it can be JSP, like which we are able to see in the screen. Now that is a view. It can be HTML file, it can be JSPs. So that comprises of view. And what is a controller? Controller will get the data from the model and it will inject into the view. It is, you can say, a middle between model and view. So that's how this Spring framework works. So it is a MVC framework based upon this model view controller architecture. So why Spring? So is it clear with everyone, or am I going so fast?
No.
It's perfect.
Okay, great. So let's come to its release timelines. Spring 1, do you know, it comes after EJB 4th version. Java EE 4th version, it came after that. And now Java EE 7 or maybe the later version have come. It can even do everything which Spring can do, but still nobody is using Java EE. Why? Due to its bad reputation only. Although Java EE now it has increased its performance and now it is equally, you can say, good as Spring, but still no one is using it. And Spring has lots of market share currently. So coming to like we will be seeing the Spring version 5 in this course, Spring 5. So I will just want to tell about what are the things new in the Spring 5. So previously, like most of the frameworks are using Java 7, even the Spring is using Java 7. But this in Spring 5, they have updated its minimum requirement to Java 8 or higher. Means you can use at least Java 8. No version lower than Java 8. And the second is, it has deprecated some of the legacy integration codes, like you know, strut styles. I don't know whether you know. They are used to create master page like structures. In struts, there are concepts like tiles. They are used to create master page. Master page is nothing but when we will define like this div will contain the header, this div will contain the footer, and this is the div where the content will be placed. So these are nothing but the structure of master page. So previously in struts, the tiles are those things which are used to create those kind of master page structures. But since they are outdated, so Spring has deprecated its integration. Like the code which is used for integrating the tile support in Spring, so that has been deprecated. So along with that, Velocity is also, it's a kind of template framework. So that has also been deprecated now from the versions 5 in Spring. Now, coming to the third point, it upgraded the the servlet API. So what is a servlet API? So it is the base of a Java web application, because everything it works in the as a form of servlets. So it support previously till that its version is lesser. It supports up to the version of you can say Servlet API 3, but now with the Spring 5 they have updated the support to this Servlet API to version 4. Now the latest version of Servlet API is 4, so Spring 5 is supporting that latest version. So it will take care of all the request and you can say response handlings everywhere. So you can say all those functionalities will be taken care by Servlet APIs. That's why Servlet APIs are so much important in Java web application development. So it has increased its support. Now fourth is, it has added a new reactive programming framework that is known as Spring Web Flux. That is like too much advanced concept, so it's even out of course for this course, but still like you should know that it has added a new reactive programming framework that is nothing but Spring Web Flux. So now coming to like I'm going to you can say summarize it. So what we have seen, Spring it simplifies the Java EE web application development. It is a lightweight application development. It's an alternative to Java EE previous versions. And the other things with which it is, you can say, good. First is it promotes loose coupling. So do you know what is loose coupling?
Yeah, suppose a class, there are two classes which are interdependent on each other, but they are not bound tightly. Suppose that if we are creating calling a constructor of one class, and inside that constructor we are calling the constructor of another class, then it will be tightly coupled.
Okay, right. So like explaining it to a little bit in simple manner, loose coupling is nothing but, for example, if for example, there is one coach class. Coach is an interface. So its implementation can be a tennis coach, basketball coach, or can be any sports like baseball coach. So if in your business logic, if you write like basket today, like you have to, for example, write a functionality for playing the cricket. So what you will do, you will take cricket coach A is equal to new cricket coach, and then that C dot play method, you will call that. But what it will happen after, you can say after 1 or 2 years, there is a requirement to add the functionality for baseball coach also. So you have to change the business logic now. Instead of cricket coach, you have to write the baseball coach, but that is not right, because you are hard coding the everything. So means you are tightly coupling your business logic with that coach object. So instead of that, it's better to use interface object, like interface reference. So I will explain this in even in the practical sessions, so that you will get more clarity about this. But for this, like it promotes the loose coupling with the dependency injection feature. And the another point is, it has a support for declarative programming with aspect oriented programming, that is AOP, that I will explain in the practical course, like we will see later this. And fifth, like that I have already explained, it has given us so much of helper classes that have made our life very easier as compared to the complex Java EE framework. Now, so coming to a part of the, like one of the most important part of a Spring framework, it is nothing but a core container. So what is this core container basically? So it contains basically four main things. First are beans, second is core, third is SPEL, and fourth is context. So coming to the details of all these one by one. So first is core. So core is nothing but it manages how beans are created. Like it has a factory for creating the beans, and it basically what it will do, there is a configuration file in Spring. It will read all the information from the configuration file, and it will create the object and give it to for the dependency injection. So it has all the you can say support for dependency injection as well as inversion of control. So that is a core module of Spring. Second is context. So context is nothing but it holds the bean. Now, if the beans are nothing but the objects, Java class is objects. So when those objects are created, it should be present somewhere in the memory. So that is nothing but context. It holds those beans in the memory. Third is SPEL. It is nothing but Spring expression language. So it is used to refer to another bean, like it's a kind of expression language. So from one bean I want to refer to another bean, so for that purpose I can use this SPEL. We can see this in the demo also. So now like first is the as we know about the servlet containers mainly. So as we know that Tomcat servlet container, like every web servers almost have a servlet container. Like coming to the Tomcat application server, it also has like it's also has its servlet container. It contains the servlet objects which are required to run the application. So those servlet objects are present in their servlet container, and when any request will come to the container, it will be handed over to those servlet objects. Then it will handle it will pass that objects to the respective controllers, and the whole thing will go on. So similar to that, in Spring, those work is taken care by Spring containers. Now the main difference is, in servlet containers we are having the servlet objects, but in Spring containers we are having the Spring beans object. You can say beans object, which we are going to create. And like Spring to manage the life cycle, Spring use this Spring container to manage the life cycle of bean. Life cycle of bean means creation of bean, destruction of beans. So the whole life cycle of beans are taken care by this Spring container. And third is, it uses factory pattern basically. So there is a design pattern, factory pattern. So it uses that factory pattern to produce objects and give. So I will explain this pattern in the code. And it is nothing but it. So in the Spring, basically, factory pattern is nothing but it will read an information from XML file, and then based upon the information, it will create the objects and give it to the context basically. So we will see these things in working demo. Now, Spring Bean Factory. So I told you that the Spring is using this factory method. that will be used to instantiate bean basically. So that will be taken care by the Spring Bean factory. So basically it will create the objects based upon the config XML. So based upon the configuration file. Now, there are some more details about the Spring. Spring has released various projects for Spring Cloud, for Spring Data, for Spring Batch. So these are nothing but it contains the features to integrate with the cloud, to integrate with the batch processing, to integrate with the security. So whenever we want to use a project, we have to go to this like spring.io. There is a site spring.io which will maintain all these Spring projects. So those are nothing but the starter applications. So when we want to use create an application for Spring Cloud, then we will go to that Spring.io file and it will give us that starter project. So that contains all the structure and we will do the coding there, and then we will create our own project. So for everything, like even from libraries to the projects, it will be available in spring.io. So for this course, basically we need, like for now, we need Eclipse. We have to download the Spring 5, all the jars. And then the third step is we have to add it to the class path. Okay, like when we create an object, we have to add all the jars to the class path of that, you can say, project. So why to add like jars to the class path? Can anyone explain?
So that all the dependency required for that project are available to us at the runtime. For suppose application is going to run, so at the runtime it requires some dependencies. So if there are labels of actually dependencies, so if we add it to the class path, then at the runtime, if it is required, it will first read from its base directory, then it will search for the dependency in the class path. Or suppose we are going to use Maven dependencies, then it will search for those dependency in the Maven repository actually.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's right. So like if we want to use any kind of Spring feature, then during runtime, like it wants to get those real, like you can say the functionalities which are written in these jar files. So we have, it will search in what the like JVM loader. First is the class loading step. So how to load those class? If the class, so we need to add those everything like jars in that class path, because it will load the, like in the in JVM initialization process, it will load the classes from its class path only. So that's why we have to add everything in the class path. So now Spring Core Container, as I have already told, Spring Core Container has mainly two features. First is IOC, second is DI. So IOC is nothing but inversion of control and DI is dependency injection. So IOC, like explaining it to a little bit more, what is IOC? IOC is inversion of control. So now, for example, if there is a business class in which there is a method play, like I have explained earlier. So in that play method, if I will write that, for example, baseball coach C is equal to new baseball coach. So now I have written that thing hard coded in that business class. So in the later on, if someone will tell that now I want the implementation for cricket, so then I need to change that, you can say the object. I need to create the cricket object instead of the baseball coach object. So this kind of thing is there are lots of things. For example, there are hundreds of classes. If in the later on, if someone will ask us to change that thing, so it will be very complex for us to change all those things in the classes. So it's better to shift this control from the business logic to the sum of the configuration file, to outside, like basically outside the business logic. So that is nothing but inversion of control. We have to transfer this control from our business logic to a configuration file. That is nothing but inversion of control. So I will explain this with an example. For example, we are having an interface coach. We created one interface coach and we are having its implementation classes: tennis coach, cricket coach, basketball coach, etc. And in our main class, in our business logic, I will write coach C is equal to new basketball coach. New basketball coach. Now, here the main thing is, it's loosely coupled but hard coded in the business logic. Now, if someone will ask me, Ki, I want tennis coach, I don't want this basketball coach. So what I have to do? I have to change this line. I have to write here tennis coach. So that's the what like the problem before IOC is this problem only. So we have to, for every time if someone will ask some changes, we have to change the business logic. That is not you can say recommended. So how to tackle this problem? The solution is IOC. So how's the you can say the IOC works in Spring? This is our business class, and this is the part of the Spring core container, where I already told that it used the factory method, factory pattern. Just 1 minute. I think after 40 minutes it will get disconnected. Then I will share one another link to
Okay.
resume it. Yeah. So Spring will use the factory method here. So what it will the Spring will do, my app will ask that I need this object. Then this factory method will check the configuration file. And in the configuration file, we will mention that which object to give. So in the first case, if we write in the configuration file that if someone will ask the object, then give it the tennis coach. Then in the later on, if someone will say, now I don't know, I don't want the tennis coach, I want the cricket coach, then only we need to change in this configuration file. We will say, now provide the cricket coach. So that's how we have controlled this, you can say, the creation of object, and we have outsourced the creation of object from our business logic to this configuration file basically. So let's see how to do this. So the next is I will show the demo after 2 slides. So the next is the Spring Factory. So I have already told in Spring Factory mainly take care of 2 things: creation of objects like bean creation and its lifecycle management. And the second is it injects object dependencies, means it supports DI. DI is only possible because of this Spring Factory. So now mainly, so in order to do you can say configure our Spring classes, or you can say Spring container in our applications, so basically we have to create this configuration file. So how to configure this Spring container? So there are mainly 3 things, 3 ways with which we can do it: using the XML configuration file, using Java annotations, or using Java source code. So the first one is very legacy, you can say it's very old, and the second one is the most useful, that's using Java annotation. Most of the time, today we are using this second method only for configuration of Spring projects. So we will see like first 2 in our this course. The third we will be like it's very you can say unpopular, so we will not see the third one. We will see the first 2 methods. So now we will we will develop one project based upon IOC, basically for the IOC feature. So the steps are, there are 3 steps that we have to do. First is we have to configure Spring Beans. It is nothing but we have to create the beans, we have to create one configuration file, that XML file, in which we have to create, we have to mention the beans, and we have to mention the to which object should be created, like reference. So that I will show. So the first step is nothing but creation of the configuration file, creation of the Spring Bean configuration. Second is creation of Spring container. So now Spring container is nothing but which will give us the objects of the Spring Bean. It will handle everything now. So we have to create, the second step is creation of Spring container. And third step is retrieving the beans from the Spring container. So that is the third step. So only 3 steps are required for Spring IOC. Nothing more than that. So step 1 is nothing but like this. We have to create one configuration file, and we have to put this code only, nothing but. So this is nothing but these, it will tell that this is the beans. And then first bean, I will define this kind of bean, this ID is equal to this class is equal to this. So this ID is nothing but it, you can say unique name for this class, for this class object basically. So this is a unique name. And then class is nothing but to refer like which class object will be created, the tennis coach. So if someone will in the business logic, if someone will want to access this bean, then it will get the object of tennis coach. And if later on someone will want that I now want the cricket class, so that time we just need to change this tennis, instead of tennis coach we have to write cricket coach. So that's the only difference we have to make. And then step 2. So what is the step 2? We have to create the Spring container. It is nothing but, I have already told that context. What is Spring context? Which holds the, you can say, bean objects in memory. So we need to create that context. So there are basically 3 classes which have been given by Spring framework. First is class path XML application context. Second is the annotation config application context. Third is the generic web application context. So for the first way, that is nothing but only XML way, we have to use this line only. We will create the object of this class path XML application context. We will pass the reference of our configuration files, which we have created in step 1. This step 1. So this file name, we will just pass the reference of this file, and then the Spring container will be created based upon the configuration which are mentioned in this file. So this is the step 2. So step 1 is the creation of the configuration file. Step 2 is the creation of Spring container. That is nothing but creation of this web application context. And the third one, just retrieve the bean in our business logic. So for this, we have to write just this code. Context C, context.get bean. Context is nothing but the object of this object, which we have created in step 2. So dot get bean, this my coach. So this my coach is nothing but the ID, which I mentioned here. This is to tell I want the object of this class. I want the I want to instantiate the object of this bean. So this ID will be the same as this. Now, by default, the default path of application context is source main Java. By default, we will put the application path .xml file in this source main Java class. So you can change this also, but in that case, you have to give the whole path here, relative path basically. So normally, if you don't give any path, it will search in source main Java folder. Okay. We will see in the project. Don't worry. If you are not clear, you will, when we do the project, you will get more clarity on this. Okay. So just one thing, just 2 slides, then we will do a, you can say, project setup. So this Spring Beans and what we achieve. So with this help of Spring Beans, what we will achieve, our app will be configurable. Now, if we want to change, we have to just make change in the configuration file. Previously, we have to do changes in the business logic that we have tackled now. Now, just a configuration file. Simply, we have to change the configuration file and we can provide the instance of another class. So now the Spring Bean. So what is basically Spring Bean? It's nothing but a Java object created by the Spring container. Normally, a Java class object is nothing more than that. So normally Java class objects are Java objects, and when the Spring class is in Spring, when we create a Java class, that is nothing but Spring Java class, and its objects which are created by the Spring container are called as Spring Beans. So the objects which are created by the Spring container, we can call them as Spring Beans. So they are nothing more than the Java classes. So you can take think this similar to the Java classes objects. So there is nothing much you can say more information about the Spring Beans. Only the one thing that is different from the normal Java objects, that Spring Beans lifecycle is managed by the Spring container, and the normal objects lifecycle are not managed by the Spring container. Only that is the main difference. Nothing more than that. Okay. So now one one question I want to ask here. I have provided this object coach.class. Can you tell me why I have provided this interface reference here?
So that based on the configuration only we'll get the object actually.
No, if I will not give this also, then basically there are 2 versions. If you not give this also, the second parameter, then also it will work. But what is the benefit of giving this? It provides us extra type security. Now let's think, if I will not provide the second parameter, I will not provide, then it will see my coach ID here, and it will instantiate the object of this class. Let's think if this class is not implementing the coach interface, then, but we are assigning it to coach object. So it will give us class node, class class exception.
Yes.
Because if understand, no?
Yes.
It will give us class cast exception, because from the inside of the Spring XML configuration file, we are creating the object of the class which is not implementing the coach, but which is not of type coach, and we are assigning it to coach. So it will give us class cast exception. But when we provide this coach.class, then it will give us exception of being not of required type. So like it is nothing but it will provide us extra type security. It will give us exceptions of Spring framework, not the normal Java exceptions. If we provide this and the same scenario is there that our class is not implementing the coach interface, then it will give us the exception as being not of required type, defined type. Okay. So now we will see the demo of all, mainly the IOC part. How to create the Spring project, how to handle IOC in this project. Yeah. So any doubt till now? Simran, are you getting it what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Srishti, are you there?
Hello. Yes.
Uh,
Yes, Ashish, I'm here only, and it's going perfectly.
okay, great. So let's see the demo now. Just 1 minute. Shit, just 1 minute to connect to charger. Okay. So the step one is when we have to create one web app project, like dynamic web project in Eclipse. That is the step one. And the second step is, because we are going to make a Spring project, so we have to download all the Spring jars. So I am downloading Spring 5 jars. Later on, like in another project, we will create even Maven project also. So there we need not to download the Maven jar, all Spring jars. We have to just mention the Maven dependency that we will cover later. But now we are downloading Spring 5 jars basically. Okay, Spring 5. There is jars are there. Anyone we can do it. It's downloading. So basically in the lib folder, these are all the jars. When we download it inside the lib folders, so we have to include all these to our project, our build path of the, you can say build part of our project. So we have to right click here. We have to go to properties. We have to go to the Java build path. We have to go to these libraries, and then we have to go to this add jars, as external jars basically. And we have to go to that folder. Just 1 minute, where was that? Here, you have to select all. So now I have included everything, and then apply. Apply and close. So now all the libraries will be here. So all the required jars related to every Spring core. So this for our Spring IOC is mainly present in these Spring core jars. Its all functionality is covered in this core jar only. So all, but we have included every like Spring AOP, all the jars, reach Spring Web Flux. So now, so this is the step one. We have to include all the jars. Now, step two is we have to create the configuration file. So let's create source main Java folder. It's better to go create the source main Java folder. Okay, there only, but it is not source main and then Java. And then step one is, there are 3 steps for developing this IOC app. Step one is creation of configuration file. So I'm creating one configuration file. I'm naming it as application. Sorry, first create the XML file. Others, XML. This XML file. Next, So I'm naming as is at application dot XML. So it is in source main Java application dot XML. Now here what I need to create beans to define all the beans. So basically in this configuration file, this is the outer tag that is nothing but beans. These beans hold all the required beans which we are required in our application. So I'm creating one bean with bean tag. I'm giving ID as my coach or anything, and then class. So here we have to give the full name of the class along with the package. So first we have to create the class also, because we need to define some class object here. So I'm creating one class. I'm creating one interface first. Coach interface. This is the interface. Let's say it is having just one method. And then I'm creating another class, implementation class. So that is nothing but tennis coach. Tennis coach. And I'm implementing this with our interface. You have to override the methods and implemented methods. So that's it. Now, here I need to create the object of this tennis coach. I have to refer it to one class for to which object we want to instantiate. So to that class, I have to provide that class here. So I want to create this tennis coach. So provide the name here dot class. And so this is the step one. Now there is one thing here. Normally, how this file will be, you can say, identified by the Spring. These tags will be processed. How they should be like, for example, for every kind of configuration file, there are some you can say tags, meta tags, which contains the grammar for that configuration file, which is nothing but the syntax for these beans. And so that when these files will be evaluated, which it will be run through with it will be verified with that grammar. So we have to like provide that grammar meta information here. So there are few lines that are like common. We have to add these, like it is compulsory to add those lines that contains the grammar information with respect to that configuration file. So we have to add those lines here, the meta information basically. So I will add those lines. Just one thing, I'll have to copy. Download the projects. Workspace. privacy dynamo source. Sorry, Java. See this. This is nothing but the meta information. So that is nothing but it will link to the Spring frameworks, schemas, and all the grammars related to this configuration file. So we have to provide this meta information. If we don't provide it, then our file will not be processed by the Spring framework, because it don't know like what type of file is this and what are the beans meaning in that. So in order to tell the Spring framework that I am using this bean file that is as a Spring configuration file, and this is nothing but the grammar of these tags, like the syntactical grammar of these tags. So I have to add these meta informations basically. Cover this tag here. That's it. Now I have added nothing but I have added this meta information here. I have instantiated one bean here, and that's it. It's closed. So currently our configuration file is this only. So this is the step one. Now the step two is creation of Spring container. How to create that? We have to just like we need one our configuration file, our main business logic file. So I will create one main class. Main app. So in this main app, I will create one method, the main method basically, which will run first. So in this main method, I have to instantiate the object of which class? Class path XML application context. There are three classes I have told, but if we are using this XML configuration file, then we have to instantiate the Spring container with this class only. Spring class path XML application context. context context is equal to new class path XML application context, and here we need to give our configuration file path. So currently it is in the same, you can say, hierarchy, application.xml. What's that? Just one thing, I need to check its constructor. Okay, this one. That's it. This is the step two. Creation of Spring container. Now we have created one Spring container context which contains the objects of, which will create the object of based upon this configuration file. So it will create the object of that tennis coach. Now the step three is retrieving the beans. Retrieve the bean objects. Retrieving the bean objects. You can say bean objects. That is the step three, last step. Context get bean. Get bean. And this is class type, this is string ID, this method which is ID and So basically we are going to use this implementation. As I have told, there are many implementations. So at the first place, we have to provide the ID. Which bean I want to get? There can be many beans now in the configuration file. So I want to get this ID bean. The bean with ID my coach. So I have to give there. So the ID of the bean, and here the type of the class. So basically interface, in order to remove that class cast exception. So our interface is coach. So I can provide coach.class. That's it. So it will give us a coach instance. And with this, I can call play, the method of the interface. We are accessing it is nothing but. And then like thread, like normally we will close any resource, thread we will close. Similarly, we will, in order to that our heap memory will not be full, and so we need to release the resources. So we have to close this context. It's very important. So just close this context after your work. So that's it. So this is the step 3. So now let's run it. Main application, we just want to run this only. See, I am tennis coach object. So it's nothing but we have covered IOC in the 3 normal steps. So the step 1 is creation of this configuration file. So that is common. Even all the Spring projects, we have to add this configuration file, and we have to mention some beans or something here. So I have defined one bean here. Then the step 2, in our main app, I have to create a Spring container, and the step 3 to access that with the help of that Spring container. So these are the 3 main steps in which we will achieve this Spring IOC. So now see, if we want to, in the later on, if someone will do I don't want the tennis implementation, tennis coach. I want the cricket coach. So let's add one more class here, cricket coach. So in that case, just I want to add here and where I need to change this. Where I need to change this? Can anyone tell me?
In XML.
Yeah, that's it. Only I have to mention here in the XML file, instead of this tennis coach, what I have to mention here? Cricket coach.
Cricket.
Yeah. The name should be right. So here, cricket coach. Okay, just I need to mention here. I need not to change this business logic main app. I didn't change anything here. I just changed one line in my configuration file. That's it. That's it. IOC. I have converted, previously I have to change here, but now I have changed in the our configuration file. So I have outsourced this business the configuration information from this business logic to my configuration file. That is nothing but application.xml. So this is nothing but IOCs. So now we will run this application. See here, now it is cricket. So just by making a simple line change in configuration, we have achieved IOC.